Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. It is Vuelta Stage 1. It's the second Butterfly Effect for today. We got the Giro going on also. There's lots to talk about. Today is a spectacular stage. It's really rare. Stage 1 of a Grand Tour to watch such an explosive stage. When I won these jerseys for my Vuelta, there was also considered Stage 1 because they had a team time trial, then followed by a mountaintop, but nothing like we watched today. Big explosion amongst the favorites. I also brought out this jersey here from winning in the Basque Country because today they're racing in the Basque Country. The last climb of today's Stage 1 Vuelta. I have done many times in my career. I love the Basque Country. The fans are amazing, educated, enthusiastic, and just love their bike racing in the Basque Country. Best place in the world to train as long as you're not getting rained on. Let's get to today's stage. First off, second to last climb, we see none other than Chris Froome coming off the back. That can answer everybody's question about whether or not if he should have been at this year's 2020 Tour de France or not. He clearly has not recovered yet to bring his form back up to what we're used to seeing of a rider of his ability. He's amazing. He's suffering off the back. He's coming off. He's trying to get back on while it's his own Ineos team at the front driving the pace. He's off the back, and that is the end of the run for a Grand Tour win in 2020 for Chris Froome. We'll have to wait till next year to see if he can put it together with the Israel Startup Nation and win another Grand Tour or not. Let's get down to the last climb because that is where the meat of the action begins. I already told you Ineos has been riding the front since the penultimate climb. They're driving into the last climb. I don't agree with the tactic. It's not one I would use, but I understand why they employ it. It makes a little bit of sense. I just wouldn't do it. I see when you're coming out of the 2020 Tour de France and Jumbo-Visma have their whole squad here from the Tour de France that they dominated so much on. They're just missing Wout van Aert, but they still have Primož Roglič, George Bennett, Tom Dumoulin's here, and of course the young American Sepp Kuss who put on a show for us at this year's Tour, and now he's going to do it at the Vuelta too. So as we enter the first climb, the last climb of the day that is, it's Ineos on the front and they're driving it with 4 riders. Somewhere around 5K to go, we'll see Ivan Sosa, the last of the workers for Richard Carapaz, and he's on the front, and you'll see Richard Carapaz move right, and he starts looking back, and he's checking out to see who's left in the group. Now, this is the first sign for me that tells me that this is not the same Richard Carapaz that we witnessed at the 2020 Tour de France. He clearly has better fitness than we saw at the Tour. No rider on a climb like this, at this moment, into the last mountain of the stage, with a team drilling it on the front, can you pull out into the wind and start calculating who's left and who's not left. Okay, so when you see a rider slide out and he doesn't drop backwards, when he slides out, he looks around, he stays out there, and he slides back in, you know he has some form. Okay, so Sepp Kuss is the next Jumbo-Visma rider to start drilling. He makes a bit of a selection, and Richard Carapaz goes with Enric Mas to close it. Now look closely at the video. I'll put up a picture of it, of course. You'll see Primož Roglič. He's back there, and it's Dan Martin closing the gap for Primož Roglič. This, in my belief, my experience, Dan should have not. He should have not closed it. And you say, well, Dan's got, Roglič has a teammate in Sepp Kuss up the road. But guys, Sepp Kuss is not their GC guy here, okay? They're going to race for Roglič. Roglič has been winning all year. They've been racing for him every year. It is not a secret. I'm not letting the cat out of the bag here to tell you guys, Roglič is Jumbo-Visma's leader at this year's Vuelta. So when Sepp Kuss goes up the road, Dan Martin does not have to close that gap. I still think Roglič is left isolated and should have been closing that gap himself. Primož, though, very smooth today, very patient. I'm going to put up a lot of pictures from 5K, all the way from the last 5K to the finish. Whenever you look at the picture, Primož Roglič is at the back. He's hidden, he's tucked away, he's staying quiet, never showing off, never pulling out to the right and calculating who's left amongst the favorites. He's not showing his cards at all. it leaves everybody of the favorites. You still don't know, if you're one of those favorites, you still don't know exactly how good Roglic is because he's only been following the whole time. You know he's at the back, but you can't see him. And if you can't see him, you really can't feel if he's hurting or suffering at that moment. He's clearly not. Sepp Kuss follows attacks, keeps everything under control. We'll see Jumbo-Visma, George Bennett come back on. Sepp Kuss near the top of the climb, and we still got about 2K to the finish, 2.5K of rolling. That 2.5K is very hard still. It does roll down, you pick up speed, but when you get those little rollers and it comes back up and your legs are hurting that bad, it's very hard. So it's Sepp Kuss drilling it over the top. And I was a little perplexed because George Bennett's off the back, but he's not their GC guy. But if you see it, if Sepp Kuss could just wait just a tad bit longer, George would get on. Okay, we all know in general, the race finished fantastic for Jumbo-Visma, so it's a small thing. But I always think if you're going to drop someone, let's not drop your teammate solo. So if he slows down, Sepp Kuss slows a little bit, George Bennett reattaches, and maybe it's George Bennett that could ride the front for that last part, leaving, of course, Sepp Kuss not to lose any time on today's stage. Okay, again, Roglic is their leader. They come into the finish. Roglic is always at the back. You see the attacks start to play. You see Sepp Kuss riding on the front. When it's Hugh Carthy attacks, that puts in a big dig and hurt on everyone. And then there it is. That is the move that Roglic has been looking for. They do a big effort to bring Hugh Carthy back. When they do, the group sets up like this. Every rider knows after a big attack, when there's nobody, no train at the front to keep it going fast, no group of guys from the same team, a train at the front to keep it going fast, it'll slow down. When it slows down, the group will spread out like this and they'll start to go wide. They're slowing down all the time while they're wide in the wind, and you see Primož Roglic just jump on the pedals. Now, he's getting the draft as he's coming by guys, and he's also picking up speed while they're losing speed, and nobody knows who's going to go first. All right, it's Enric Mas, Richard Carapaz at the front. They try to do their best to bring him back. But guys, Primož Roglic, he's riding on form. We saw him win Liège-Bastogne-Liège. We saw him control the whole Tour de France up to one amazing Tadej Pogačar that wins the time trial. But to dominate like Jumbo-Visma did at this 2020 Tour de France, he wins at Liège-Bastogne-Liège. He's fabulous with his tactics on stage one of this Vuelta and dominates in the sprint. He knows clearly someone from the team told him, you have to go in those last few turns at the front, no brakes, all the way to the line. Like I said, I've done this race many, many times at the Basque Country. The guy who goes in there first always comes out first, always crosses the line first. Well done, Primož Roglic. We'll have to wait and see what happens to Chris Froome. Doesn't look like he has the form. I don't think we're going to see him at this year's Tour of Spain doing anything dominant. It was a spectacular day of racing anyways. Jumbo-Visma back in action. The jersey here from the Basque Country, the two hats. Special moment in my career. This was my biggest win to date at the time when I won this. The Basque Country, this region that they did stage one of the Vuelta today, is a special place to race your bike. I love all the Basque fans. You're absolutely amazing. I think the Tour of the Basque Country, País Vasco, explained in the perfect way, País Vasco, I believe, is the best one-week stage race in the world. Nothing other than the Tour de France will have a better group of stage racing guys put together. The Basque Country is special. When you win there, it's a great win, and you've won amongst the best peers in the world that you can possibly ask for outside of the Tour de France. Hope you enjoyed today's Butterfly Effect, the second version of the Butterfly Effect, Vuelta Stage 1. I'll see you guys real soon.